So I promised you guys that I would show you some pictures from my trip. So after I got to Boston, which I went to on Saturday morning, and then I got back home last night, which was Monday evening, my first stop after I left at the airport and got my rental car was to the aquarium. And so here you're going to see some pictures from the New England Aquarium in Boston, Massachusetts. That's a shrimp. And that's a penguin. And more penguins. And a little shark. And those are rays. I thought I had gotten on a whale watch boat. I didn't. I got on a historic tour boat. And I will show you pictures of that. But when I go back the next time, which I will be doing for sure, whale watch is definitely on the agenda. That's a picture of Boston Harbor. And that is the backside of a turtle. And that's a crab. So after I left the aquarium, I went on a historic tour of the inner and outer harbor of Boston. So like I said, I thought I was getting on a whale watch tour. And I was politely informed after I had already boarded and taken my seat that if I was intending to whale watch, I was not on the right boat. But since I was already seated and had already purchased my ticket, I stayed, and I'm glad I did. So this was the boat I actually went on. And I was at the very rear of the boat in the corner. And this is a video that I took. This was the cargo ship that we passed. Those things are massive. Said it can hold about 20,000 containers. This is for Independence. And this was Boston Fire and Rescue. There was a police boat that actually passed by us, and he waved at me, so I waved back. But I didn't get a picture. I don't remember what this is, but it looked important, and it has a flag on it, so I took a picture of it. This right here is the Boston Institute of Contemporary Art. This is a picture of Long Wharf, and this is actually where the ship was docked. Long Wharf is I believe they said it's the oldest and furthest jutting out into the harbor wharf in Boston Harbor. It was built in 1710. It's very old. And one of the coolest things about the city of Boston is the red brick roads. They were so neat. This is a tugboat named Justice. And before I even knew what the one following it was going to be named, I said, I bet it's named Freedom. Sure enough, Freedom and Justice were the names of the tugboats. There's the American flag that was atop the boat I was on. This is a picture of the Navy shipyard. And don't kill me, but I don't remember what the explanation of this was. This is Old Ironsides, also known as the USS Constitution. Dates back to Revolutionary War times and actually had cannonballs bounce off of it. Very cool. I did not have the opportunity to tour on foot the Navy shipyard. I will in the future. And I also did not have an opportunity to tour this. This is the Bunker Hill Monument. But I did get a picture of it, and I will, when I return, do that again. Part of the reason I didn't get an opportunity to go more places was because I was going to take a trolley tour of the city yesterday, but I wound up walking on foot. So while I was much more grateful to be able to do that, I did get to see less because, you know, my feet only move at a certain pace. But there is much more to see, and I cannot wait to return. And this is TD Garden. For those of you Boston sports fans, you'll probably know all about that. So next, I'm not sure, but I will find my next set of pictures and queue up. This was a picture that I took of the boat that I was on leaving Boston Harbor. I said, tea party, anyone? For those of you who don't know what that means, this was the harbor that the Boston Tea Party occurred in once upon a time. So on to the food. This was the first meal that I ate there, and let me just say that I was very much looking forward to clam chowder, New England clam chowder, and lobster rolls. So the first meal that I ate was naturally New England clam chowder. And this was sideways, but it was a seafood pot pie, which I thought was incredibly interesting name for it because literally it could pass as like a seafood stew with a puff pastry on top of it. But it was excellent. And then I was way full, but they brought me this massive slab of mud pie and coffee to go with it. So that was the first meal I had there, and walking was definitely due afterward. Unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to walk afterward because I had a 2-hour drive to where I was staying. I stayed on Nauset Beach, which is Cape Cod. One of the reasons I went was to stay on Cape Cod. Really wanted to do that. Found this wonderful place called the Nauset Beach Inn. As you can see over here, these are little cottages. This was the sunrise the next morning because I got there when it was dark on Saturday evening. So Sunday morning, this is the sunrise. A couple hours later, or probably like an hour and a half later, as I was getting ready to leave to set out for the day, I took a picture of the cottages. I actually stayed in this one right here. That was the door to my room. And they had a fire pit area and lots of picnic tables. The beach was about 800 feet away. And absolutely gorgeous. I honestly could not have picked a better place to stay. Left them a wonderful review. I didn't spend a whole lot of time there because I was so busy sightseeing and all of that. But this day, which was Sunday, I actually drove up to Provincetown, which is the northernmost part of Cape Cod, and walked around there. So my next pictures will be about Provincetown. So as I was driving through Provincetown, let me just tell you, the streets are tiny. So tiny. You have to drive very, very slow, and there's a lot of foot traffic. But as a result of that, you get an opportunity to really, really take in the view. And this, to me, was just absolutely breathtaking. Provincetown actually kind of curls westward over the Cape Cod Bay. It is not on the Atlantic side of the Atlantic Ocean side of Cape Cod. I stayed on Nauset Beach, which is on those pictures that I showed you before. That is the Atlantic Ocean that you were looking at. Here, this is going to be Cape Cod Bay. It's the other side. It's the western side of Cape Cod that you're looking at. So this is the Pilgrim Monument and Visitor Center. I actually did climb that bad boy. It's 252 feet tall. So these are some of the pictures that I took inside the Visitor Center and Museum. They had 5 or 6 different museums. I think 5 museums and a gift shop. So I did do some gift shop shopping. Provincetown is 401 years old. That was what their fire department used to use. Those are replicas of whale tusks. Obviously, they had a very big whaling industry. So 1620 in the Mayflower Compact. And again, here is the Pilgrim Monument. So I climbed up that bad boy. Lots and lots of steps. It says this monument was erected by the Cape Cod Pilgrim Memorial Association, incorporated in 1892. This is a view, one of 3 pictures I took from the top of the monument, overlooking Cape Cod Bay. Another one, and another. And that was me, because I had to still go back down, right? This is Long Point. This is a picture that I took from my car, but I actually will show you other pictures in a second because I got out and I walked out there. It is a jetty. So these are some pictures after I left that area. I wound up coming back to Long Point later. But this is from Race Point Beach. There is a Race Point lighthouse, which I did not get to because it can only be walked to on foot or gotten to by non-motorized vehicles. I did not have an opportunity to do that, but again, we'll be going back and maybe get to do that next time. So this is Race Point Beach. That is the Race Point Lighthouse. Go ahead and look at it, and it will show you exactly where I was on Provincetown, Cape Cod. Some more beach pictures, and I thought this was hilarious. Don't feed the coyotes, because you know I would have if they told me not to, right? No. Coast Guard there. And again, this is another picture of Long Point. I walked out there, and this was the furthest I could go before the tide gotten too far over the rocks. But this is looking back at the shore. So I will show you some pictures of Boston next. Before I show you Boston, I have to show you the lobster roll I had for lunch in Provincetown. It was so good. And now we come to the end of the presentation. This was from my foot trek through the city of Boston. And again, I did not get to nearly everything I wanted to, but I got to a lot. So this is the Old State Meeting Hall. In front of it is where the Boston Massacre is marked as having happened. This is Quincy Market, which is just right by Faneuil Hall. I did not have an opportunity to go to Faneuil Hall. I will do that when I return, and I'm not exactly sure what this is. And that was me extraordinarily happy to be in Boston and sightseeing, because if any of you guys like history, this would be so awesome for you. So Old North Church, this is where the lanterns were hung. The British are coming, one if by land, two if by sea, right up in that tower. This is the north part of Boston. This is Sacred Heart Church. And then Paul Revere House. I was not allowed to take pictures while I was in there, but it was very cool to see. This is the courtyard from the second story that I did take a picture of. Next, we have Boston Public Market. Seemed like a good thing to take a picture of, right? And then more clam chowder. So good. This is Sam Adams, a picture of Samuel Adams, the guy that the beer is named after, for those of you who might like that. But that's a picture of him. This is Boston City Hall. And this is the trolley tour that I was going to take and did not take, and not even regret one little tiny bit for not taking. But next time I will take it so that I can get in a further stretch of land more quickly so that I can tour other spots I didn't get to. King's Chapel Burying Ground. This is a pretty cool place. They have replica gravestones. That I say replica because these did not look real, but hey, maybe they were. Park Street Congregational Church. This was just a very cool historic building with the tall spire. So again, for those of you who like history, just the architecture and the age of this, very, very cool. And then, of course, you can't go to Boston and not visit Cheers. So I did visit Cheers. And since I was on Beacon Street, my uncle politely informed me that I needed to make my way up Beacon Street in front of the State Building or by the State Building, because there is a statue of a lady that is actually one of my ancestors, Mary Dyer. She was a Quaker, and she was extraordinarily instrumental in the freedom of religion being included in our constitutional rights. So this was very cool. There was a couple of fences in between me and her, but apparently she is my ancestor. And this was the Boston Massacre. I went back by there and saw this on the ground, so I took a closer picture with my foot. And this is the Exchange Building. So I hope you guys enjoyed. That was my tour through Boston, and I cannot wait to go back.